NBC News projects James Earl Carter of the state of Georgia elected the next president of the United States. Looking as carefully as is humanly and scientifically possible, we have put the state of Mississippi into the Carter column, and that is that. The electoral vote, by our calculations, 272 electoral votes to 153 so far for Gerald R. Ford, the opponent.
Votes yet to be counted, and key states with a large number of electoral votes to be won.
He feels okay. Right now, the president has not lost any state that we consider to be necessary for him to win the election, so he's still optimistic that he's going to win the election. It's really coming down to those eight big states, and the results in those big states have not been determined yet, except for New Jersey, I guess, which the networks have declared for the president. But we still have Pennsylvania and Ohio and Illinois and Michigan and Texas and California to go, and obviously those states are going to determine the outcome, and the president is looking good in those states.
A slight national trend towards Carter was becoming apparent, but neither candidate was building a substantial majority in the key industrial states. Jerry Ford and Jimmy Carter each knew that to win the presidency, he had to carry at least some of the heavily populated eastern states with large blocks of electoral votes.
Well, I'm saying Jimmy Carter's going to win. I think it'll be a big electoral win, and we feel very good tonight. We've had no unpleasant surprises. We've had several very pleasant surprises.
Is this election going to have to go all night, all the way to the California coast for a decision, or do you hope to wrap it up earlier?
Well, I don't like to take anything for granted, Eric, but we were hoping that the time we reach well into the Midwest, we're looking well in Michigan, we're looking well in Illinois, we're looking good in Pennsylvania and Ohio. They could do it.
270 electoral votes would constitute a majority and indicate a victor. As the hours went by, Jimmy Carter got closer.
How do you like the results so far?
I love it. I love it.
Is Jimmy Carter going to lose this election, Miss Lillian?
Heck no.
The best thing that happened today was a large turnout, and regardless who wins tonight, whether President Ford is reelected or Jimmy Carter is elected, the American people expressed themselves today and turned out in large numbers. And I think that's the big story, thus far today.
We've been through this for the last couple of years, the fight between big government and you, the individual, and returning the country to the American people. And this is what President Ford is, the American people.
John Chancellor of NBC News looks at the remaining states.
And of those remaining, aside from California with 45 electoral votes, Oregon has 6, but Carter is behind in Oregon. South Dakota has 4, that's not enough. Maine has 4, that's not enough. Mississippi has 7. That would be enough to put him over the top. And as of the moment, in a very complicated and quite close race in Mississippi, Jimmy Carter is ahead. James Earl Carter of the state of Georgia elected the next president of the United States. We base that on our projection that Carter wins Mississippi's 7 electoral votes, which gives him a total of 272 electoral votes in this election. To repeat, looking as carefully as is humanly and scientifically possible, we have put the state of Mississippi into the Carter column, and that is that.
So Jimmy Carter, by our calculation, has won the presidency of the United States, and Gerald R. Ford has lost the first election of his entire life. We're going to take another look, probably the final one tonight, at the boards and see how the numbers look at this late hour, 4:15 in New York. The popular vote first, it still shows Carter with a lead of about 2 million votes. 51% to 48%, a margin, a spread of 3 percentage points. The electoral vote total still stands as we saw it when we called Mississippi some time ago. Carter with 272. There are more to come, but it may be tomorrow before we know how they go. 272, 2 more than he needs. Mr. Ford with 153. Here's how it looks on our map. Almost, it must be 75% red, or for Carter, in the eastern half of the United States. All of the plains and mountain states, South Dakota we don't know about yet, for Mr. Ford. California, Oregon, still undecided. You see where Jimmy Carter's strength lies, primarily in the southeast and the deep south, quite a lot of it in the northeast, Pennsylvania, New York, a fair amount of it in the Midwest. And that is the picture we get when it's put into graphic terms.